This episode brought to you by the Roster Up Media Network, home to tangible insights for the NFL and fantasy sports. Check us out at rosterupmedia.com. Outstanding. Welcome back to another episode of the RUSL. We're here with Ooze, The Law, and Andrew. And we're going to be covering the AFC South, everyone. Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars. We've been switching up our shows a little bit, just trying to get you more concise information and bring you what you need for the draft seasons quickly approaching. So what we're going to do next week, we're going to go over our busts, values, sleepers, and rookies. And then we're going to follow up in the next 2 weeks with the NFC, AFC, East, and West teams previews. And, keep the show rolling. And then once the season starts, we'll have new content going over our studs and duds for the weeks, who we think, you should start, shouldn't start, and a lot more to come. But today, we're going to focus on the AFC South, AFC South, and we're first going to get into some news because there's been a lot of stuff happening around the league.
Yeah, starting over the news, a lot of training camp stuff happening, a lot of injuries happening. We'll start off with Deshaun Watson. He, had the 6-game ban from the NFL for the alleged sexual misconduct. The NFL and Roger Goodell is not happy with it, so they're putting in an appeal to suspend him for at least a year, and then also for him to file for reinstatement after that year. We don't know when that date will come, but as of right now, he is banned for 6 games, the minimum right now. Moving on to the Rams on the West Coast, Matthew Stafford, he's dealing with a tendonitis in his knee. If you've heard, Coach McVay claims that he's not worried about it, but this is huge for us in fantasy because of the fact that it just continues to linger down into the season. You're talking about production dropping off a little bit and those huge, 80-yard bombs from him to Cooper Kupp, right? So keeping an eye on that throughout the training camp. I don't think McVay is a coach that doesn't play any of his starters in the preseason. He says that's stupid. So we're not going to see him in the preseason. Hopefully we're going to see him game 1 healthy, throwing bombs. Recently, Kareem Hunt from the Browns requested a trade. The Browns organization said, we're not going to trade you. That is a no-go. So he's still...
Just to quickly interrupt, do we think that will have any value for Chubb later on? Or if,
No, I to be honest...
concerned about if he's not going to play?
No, I think Kareem Hunt's going to play still. I know he wants to be a feature back, and that's why he's requesting a trade. But to be honest, he's going to be the tandem there. He's going to be the check down guy. He's going to be the receiver back for them. Maybe, because of his grumbles, coach says, "Hey, let's get this guy more touches in the backfield," right? So that might just increase his touches in the running aspect, but I don't think it will affect Nick Chubb at all.
Listen, if he wanted to be a feature back, he should have been holding himself as a feature back. The whole reason he's not in Kansas City anymore is because he lied about what he was doing, and what he was doing was highly illegal and detrimental to his football team.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the Cardinals, Marquise Brown, he was arrested in the summer for criminals. No, not in the summer. Sorry, a couple weeks ago for criminal speeding. Yeah. He was at practice on Thursday, just waiting on his court date, which I believe is this week. Also, going back to Watson, I think Watson's appeal, or the NFL appeal, is also tomorrow. I think tomorrow or next Tuesday. But yeah, they're waiting for him, but he was at practice on Thursday. Bad news for Tim Patrick at Broncos. Huge weapon. Had a great quarterback coming in. future Hall of Famer, suffered a season-ending ACL injury on Tuesday. He's done for the season. James Washington over at Pittsburgh was caught off during practice, had a fractured foot injury, and expected to miss 6 to 10 weeks. So we're going to expect him.
Now Dallas, not Steelers. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, Dallas. Sorry. But he's expected to miss 6 to 10 weeks. That's the first quarter of the season at least. So you expect him from week 5 and on, maybe, and he's still got to come off the PUP list. Mike Evans left practice on Thursday with a hamstring injury. For me, he's been dealing with soft tissue injuries for the past 3 years anyway. It's all about rest, getting him healthy, not going to push it. He's going to be ready for the season for me. I know that for a fact. N'Keal Harry suffered a high ankle injury. There's a lot of soft tissue, it always happens in the beginning of the camp. People come in, they've been eating too much, Big Macs, Whoppers, not keeping healthy. And then when they come to camp, when it's time to, slender down, they can't do it. And the body's like, oh, man, I haven't eaten this healthy since last season, right? Christian Kirk, big offseason acquisition for the Jaguars, suffered an ankle injury as well in training camp. Don't have a timetable for him, but, hey, we'll see how, that goes as well.
All right. There's a lot of injuries going around, everyone. Make sure you turn on your sleeper alerts, your Twitter alerts, and get your news as fast as possible because that will affect how you draft and ADPs and such. So speaking of Twitter and social media, make sure you follow us. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, new this year, YouTube, our website, rosterupmedia.com. And like, subscribe, follow. Make sure you check out Around the League. There's a lot of team previews being posted to our site and social media platforms. A lot of good info and a lot of good stats going on. So check that out. Your favorite teams is either up right now or coming up very soon. All right, guys, let's get into the AFC South. First up, the Titans. And per usual, I'll kind of give some stats. We'll talk about each member or each position and go through things and just highlight, certain things. So first up, the Titans. They lost A.J. Brown on draft night to the Eagles of all teams. King Henry is back from his injury last year, where he was on pace for 2027, or he was on pace to break his 2027 yards in 2020. They lost Julio, and then he signed with the Bucks. They added Robert Woods from the Rams and Austin Hooper, and they drafted Treylon Burks from first round. Then in the third round, they drafted Malik Willis from actually my wife's and Cody's, our DFS hosts, their college, Liberty, to success Ryan Tannehill. But Ryan Tannehill will probably still be starting, and we'll probably see most of him for the season. So you've got Tannehill, King Henry, Robert Woods coming off a torn ACL, and Austin Hooper. Let's talk to me, guys, about these Titans here.
Yeah, for me, division rivals, me being a Colts fan, had a great battle in the running backs, Jonathan Taylor and King Henry, going back and forth, switching 1 and 2 every week and leading the league in rushing. So for me, expect that to happen again, right? Like, you're in the top 3. We talked about this in the last pod. Like, you're in the top 3, and you have Jonathan Taylor, King Henry, and then your third is a toss-up between, Eckler or Cooper Kupp or anybody else. But the first 2 you're looking at is Jonathan Taylor and King Henry. And King Henry was, like you were saying, was on pace to break his 2017 record, which is massive. Meaning this guy was running hard every single play. When I was watching this guy, I guess my team at least, this guy was just mowing over DPs, mowing over linebackers and safeties. I mean, you can't say anything else but this guy is going to be a top 2 pick. And he's going to consistently continue to produce, hands down.
You do have to worry about the number of carries that he was getting prior to the injury and what that will accumulate on a running back. We do know that those carries do add to a running back's age. So you're probably of two camps coming into the draft. Either you think King Henry is going to be back to what he was, or you think King Henry's got too much mileage on him, and you really don't want to kick those tires, which are a second or third pick in the draft. If he's going towards the middle, late first round, I could see taking that risk still, but there is that concern. And mainly because Tannehill's not going to take any pressure off him. There's still going to be 6-7 guys in the box just waiting for him. And in some cases, maybe even 8 now that A.J. Brown is gone. And let's just be honest, Julio was a shadow of himself on the Titans. And hopefully the weapons that they got there, the weapons they signed and drafted will help. But Tannehill is still Tannehill. And Malik is definitely a backup until he learns the office and he gets his feet underneath him.
Yeah, and to the point of your, King Henry having a lot of mileage, right? Johnny Taylor played a full season, had 332 attempts in the backfield. King Henry didn't have a full season, and he was at 219 when he got injured. So imagine that 219 attempts with 937 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. So this guy, like you said, like he was on pace. I think what he missed 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then he came back for the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah,
he came back for the playoffs. I think he missed like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
The crazy thing was he was in all those attempts. He had a lot of yardage. It took 4 weeks for Jonathan Taylor to finally beat him in yard.
Yeah,
it took 4 weeks for Jonathan Taylor to overtake him.
he missed 9 games.
He missed 9 games. Imagine him missing 9 games. And
he missed 9 games. He put up 200 carries in less than
half the season. Yeah, in 7 games.
Yep.
7 games.
He almost in 7 games.
We're assuming he got injured in that last game.
Yeah. You can't even count. You can't even count that, right? So he almost had 1,000 yards in 7 games. I mean,
ridiculous.
Again, this guy is, and like Lance was saying, with the subtraction of A.J. Brown, there's going to be 8 people in the box. I still think he's going to run people over, but this guy is a freak.
He's heavy. He's heavy, right? Some of those heavy guys are fine. Like Eddie George, all those years, he was a tall, big guy. He was not super explosive, but he would pound you, and he was hard to bring down. Maybe Henry's got that for him, but he may lose a step. So do realize that it's not a lock if you get him.
Yeah, and between the top, like for him right now, he's top 5 in ADP. He's top 5 right now, right? So it goes CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, and then Derrick Henry. So like we're saying, between after those top 2 picks, that's where everything starts getting fuzzy, right? And then you can decide for yourself if you think this guy is truly back, which I'm an avid inside training camp watcher while working. So like they were at Tennessee Titans today, and this guy was just out there. He's slender, like he's just so big, but like he's a slim thick. You know what I mean? Like this guy is out there doing what he needs to do to get his health back up to tip-top shape and get out on that field and finish what he started last year.
Last question on the Titans. Robert Woods or Treylon Burks? Are you taking the upside with Burks, or are you trying to play it somewhat safe with Woods?
For me, I'm trying to go. If I got to choose the two, I got to go Robert Woods, because Robert Woods is NFL proven. He's been on a good team. He knows what to do. The injury does scare me, yes, but this guy was moving last year in a great high-power offense. And then you have Ryan Tannehill that, he's not the best quarterback, but he's a good game manager. So when the throws are there, he will make those throws, right? So when you look at Ryan Tannehill, he had 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The interceptions crept up during the season because of the fact that he had to throw more, right? Because King Henry wasn't there. But now the most efficient Ryan Tannehill is when they're running the ball, and then he sees the opening, and then boom, it was A.J. Brown this time. But Robert Woods has the same speed, maybe even faster than A.J. Brown, and has good hands. So for me, it'll be Robert Woods over the rookie.
Lance, real quick.
I'll do the same thing. I'll take somebody I know rather than somebody I don't. How many rookies coming out in the first round and are nothing? Speaking of you, N'Keal Harry, there's plenty of people who get drafted very, very high. People have high hopes for, but end up just being busts. Detroit Lions were famous for drafting wide receivers that were almost worthless until they finally got Calvin Johnson.
And then after Calvin Johnson, they're still doing the same thing, So, so yeah, it'll be Robert Woods. It'll be Robert Woods for sure. And you remember, like rookie wide receivers don't take off till at least mid-season and up. Jamar Chase was prime example of that.
Justin Jefferson too.
Justin Jefferson as well. Yes, Justin Jefferson as well.
He had some sparks and stuff like that. Nobody's going to be a Randy Moss where he just puts up 3 touchdowns in like his second week.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Ooz's beloved Colts up next. Bye Wentz. Hello Matt Ryan. And now you have Marlon Mack gone, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, just all gone. And they drafted Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. So
is he officially gone? Or is he still on for free agent?
He's still free agent.
Still free agent.
Okay. Yeah, he's just sitting out there at home, doesn't want to be at training camp, and probably sign him like week 7 or something.
So, Matt, we'll start with Matt Ryan. Not so great the last couple of seasons, but perhaps a new team could, give him some life. Is this an upgrade from Wentz? Do we see some value with Matt Ryan? Does he got anything left in the tank? Or is this just, something they're trying to try out here in Indianapolis?
No, this guy is a complete upgrade, right? Is a complete upgrade from Carson Wentz. I think today there was reports out there saying Carson Wentz has accuracy issues in camp. I was talking to Cody last night on the AFC South Preview, and it was one of those things was like where Carson Wentz, he can be brilliant in some things, and then he does Wentz things, which is, prime example, which will never leave my head, is we were on the 3-yard line. I think it was 3rd and like 10 or 3rd or 6 or something like that. They out of shotgun, hikes the ball, gets pressure, he spins into the end zone, and instead of just getting out and throwing it, he switches the ball to his non-throwing hand, tosses it in the air. A defensive lineman picks it off for a pick 6. And that's the start and literally that was the start of our season. With Matt Ryan, you're not going to get that. He's smart, he's seasoned, and he has a protection around him that will give him the time to throw accurate throws. He has great tight ends, great wide receivers, and a great running back. He doesn't have to rely on throwing all the time like he did in Atlanta for the past 4 years, right? It was Kyle Pitts, number one hair of Kyle Pitts. Lance, he's steaming over there, but it was only him over there. Calvin betting on his team to win. He got suspended. Russell Gage wasn't it out there. So, the past couple of years for Matt Ryan just been. It seems bad, but if you look at his stats, it wasn't as bad as it seems, right? Like 3,900 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a 90.4 QBR rating. So there's going to be, I feel for me, there'll be an uptick in touchdowns and then a low tick in interceptions this year.
From the QB position or from Matt Ryan, period?
I think from Matt Ryan, period.
Let me ask you this. Does Matt Ryan crack top 12 QB fantasy this year?
That's tough.
Because he's on a good offensive team, and we've seen what he can do in the past, but he is getting older, and
I don't
past.
think he'll crack. Man, it's tough to say, but yeah, I don't think he'll crack top 12. Top 15 is a maybe, just because of the quarterbacks in front of him, right? Just to quickly run them down: Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyle Murray. I wouldn't put Jalen Hurts there, but ADP to suggest that he's higher. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow. Again, Trey Lance is up there, and he's not cracking that top 10. I know that for sure, or top 12. But then it goes Dak and then Matthew Stafford in ADP. So two guys that are really not supposed to be there. Not to mention, I didn't mention Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, only because their ADP dropped because their offensive weapons are not there up to par, at least this year. So I think he can, if we have, he doesn't have to throw, and that's the point, right? Jonathan Taylor is the main Colt guy, and they're going to feed him rock. And we have young receivers. Michael Pittman, second year. Alec Pierce, his first year. Molani Cox been there for 3 years, but he's starting tight end. He was the number 2. Paris Campbell, inside guy, has been injured for 2 years. Can he stay healthy? T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. It's tough. So I don't think he's going to crack top 12. But he has potential to do.
Carson Wentz was in the top 12 in standard scoring. That means Matt Ryan would not outdo what Carson Wentz did last year.
Yeah, because Carson Wentz was 27-7.
27-7.
Yeah.
He had less attempts than Matt Ryan, and he had just as much. No, he had 200 less yards.
Yeah, because he didn't have to throw as much because he had Jonathan Taylor, and then he threw too much in the beginning of the season. So
long story short, if you didn't like Carson Wentz last year, fantasy-wise, you're not going to like.
I don't think anybody did like Carson Wentz last year. So yeah.
So long story short, to get to it, don't draft Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
maybe take a flyer as a second quarterback if you went high on a risky quarterback like Lamar
if you're playing a 2-quarterback league, I'll definitely pick up Matt Ryan.
All right. We're not going to say much about Jonathan Taylor. Number 1 running back last year. 20 total touchdowns, 18-11 rushing yards, and 40 catches. I mean, I think the consensus here is if you have the chance to draft him, draft him.
You got to.
It's most likely that he won't finish number 1 again because that's just how history is. But, what he did last year, you can't miss out on that.
No, you can't miss out on that. 18 touchdowns, rushing, that's insane. Hopefully they start the season, like Lance alluded earlier, they didn't even start, he didn't pick up his running game and stance till week 5 and 6, it was all here and there, we're getting stopped, then we're throwing the ball Carson Wentz. So hopefully they start off from game 1, because we do have a tough schedule. For my eyes, we have a kind of tough schedule, but 3rd easiest schedule in the league. But we need to start right from game 1, minute 1, run the rock. And with that being said, Jonathan Taylor, again, 1A, 1B, call it what you want, you got to draft him.
Moving on to the wide receivers, and I want to focus on Pittman here. But you do have Pittman, Paris Campbell, and you got the rookie Pierce. And Pittman last year, wide receiver 17 in PPR, 88 catches, 1,082 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's going in the 4th round. He's wide receiver 15. So here's the question for you guys. And Lance, you can answer this first. And then Ooze, you can go second. Fill in the blank for Michael Pittman. At the end of the year, Pittman will be wide receiver blank. What number and a quick reason why he's that number?
Michael Pittman is going to be wide receiver 15.
Mm.
And if you're drafting him any higher than that, you may get burned. Um, just on value of pick. He's one of those receivers that have a high viewpoint. He had spectacular catches. A lot of people know his name. And a lot of people may be looking at him because they got a new quarterback situation and everybody thinks it's an upgrade with Matt Ryan. Reality is, what we've really learned about the Colts last season is it's Jonathan Taylor's team and everybody else is just invited. So I don't think his touchdowns are really going to take an uptick. Well, if he had 6 last year and they're projecting him to have something like 7, I imagine that's probably going to be pretty close. He might get some run attempts, but he's not exactly Tyreek Hill. He's not exactly Debo. He's not going to get a whole bunch of end arounds. So he's not going to get a lot of touchdowns that way either. And then his receiving yards are probably going to stay around the same. He's going to be like 1,000, 1,100, maybe creeps up into the 1,200. That's still not enough, especially the 6 to 7 touchdown range, not enough to push you any higher than, say, 13. So if you're drafting him at 15, you're getting a little bump. But if you're drafting him around 10, 12, you may be hurting with other people you could have gotten.
Ooze?
Yeah. I'll go where his ADP is right now, which is what? Wide receiver 15?
Yep.
I might bring that up a little bit. Oh, no. I'll say he will be wide receiver 13 this year. I do think I agree with what Lance was saying. It is Jonathan Taylor's team. Everybody else, you're in the back seat. I'll let you know when you can get a touchdown, right? It's one of those things. But I would say because of the departure of T.Y. Hilton right now and him being a third year guy, now being a veteran on the wide receiver group, he's going to be getting the main touches because he was wide receiver 17 last year when T.Y. Hilton was there and competing and being a number one. Now he's the guy.
Was T.Y. a number one? What did he even do last year?
It wasn't too much, but yeah, he was the number one, and he was getting force fed by Carson Wentz a little bit. The numbers doesn't reflect it.
Look at this. Oh God, was he not dropping it? What was his drop rate?
Oh, I can only imagine. Well, yeah,
he was wide receiver 90. 95.
Imagine, right? So and he was getting force fed, and that's what I was saying. As a Colts fan, I can see that. So for me, having a more accurate quarterback in Matt Ryan, and him being more of a red zone target, I think that's where he's going to be more touchdown depending this year than he was last year. I think his touchdowns will go up. I think he's going to go from 6 to 10. His yards may stay the same. Because him being number one, got to be there. Alec Pierce is a very, very deep sleeper for me. 6'3", ran a 4.33. Ran a 4.33. This guy was quick. Okay, so him being and he's starting on the left side now, right? So for me, sleeper, Alex Pierce. Michael Pittman will be wide receiver 13 by the end of the year.
All right. I can dig it. So we got through the Colts. We got through the Titans. We're going to hit the Texans and Jaguars real quick. But I want to remind everyone, no matter how dismal an NFL team is, there is still some small value, fantasy value on each team, I will say. So that's why we got to cover every team. We will not probably go into much detail for some of these teams, but we will highlight some players. So the Texans, QB over there, Davis Mills, going undrafted, obviously. Marlon Mack came over. They drafted rookie Dameon Pierce, and they got Burkhead. No more David Johnson. Wide receivers, Cooks, Nico Collins, Chris Moore, and Philip Dorsett. And tight end, Brevin Jordan. So let's keep this simple. Cooks has been a wide receiver 2 the last 2 years, and most leagues now start 3 wide receivers and multiple flexes. He's not a sexy name anymore. He, kind of gets overlooked as a fantasy pick, but he's going in the 6th round. He has a great floor, I would say. Do you guys, what's your thoughts on Cook here? Are you drafting him with that floor, or are you going to go with people like St. Brown, Bateman, Gabriel Davis, Elijah Moore going around him, who possibly could have better upside and tad bit better offenses than the Texans?
Yeah, I think for me, I think Brandon Cooks has proven himself year after year after year. No matter, it's insane because I'm looking at my stats, like my stat book right now, and I have for the notes, I have like Pittman and Cooks. If I did like a blind comparison, I wouldn't know which one is which. That's how close he was, right? Brandon Cooks had 90 receptions for 137 yards for 6 touchdowns, while Michael Pittman had 88 receptions for 182 yards and 6 touchdowns. So that being said, Cooks being in the 6th round, while Pittman is being drafted a little bit higher than him, it's like these guys were in the same production like last year. How is that? Like, how can that be? And now this year, we see Pittman rising and Cooks falling. But Cooks, the quarterback didn't change because Cooks still had Davis Mills, right? So why are we doing that? So I think grabbing him if he's still there at 6, that's an absolutely great spot. To be honest, you can also go up and reach for him because I think Brandon Cooks is not going anywhere for his production and being more consistent in production.
Lance, thoughts on Cooks?
Yeah, he's sitting there in the 6th round. He's probably the most enticing high floor guy sitting in the 6th round. We know what he can produce, and we know what he did last year with the same quarterback situation. The only difference is they might actually have a running game, which I don't know that's really going to eat into his production. It actually might extend some of the drives that didn't extend the previous year because they were still trying to find out who body snatched David Johnson.
Absolutely. Who body snatched David Johnson?
Yeah, Marlon Mack's got to be an upgrade. Dameon Pierce has to be an upgrade. Whatever was taking the place of David Johnson. So Brandon Cooks, if he's going to get me that kind of production, I want that over top of reaching for Michael Pittman in the 4th round.
All right. I told you we're going to keep that short, so we're moving on to the Jaguars.
Oh, whoa. Let's talk about Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack sitting in the 12th round, late 12th round. That might be a breakout, guys. Okay?
Watch the camp. Watch the camp to see who's getting the carries and who's actually performing. So it might be the camp, it might be the preseason to see. Is it the rookie or is Mack
I will believe, to be honest, I'll believe just maybe it's just me being a Colts bias when he was on the team. He was 1,000-yard running back, ran hard and fast. And that was a time when the line was not good. Right? Like 3 years ago. He had Achilles, and I think the only thing that's really dampening him is the Achilles injury. We kept him last year, couldn't trade him last year, and this guy was training throughout the year. So him being at the 12th round could be a huge pickup there. He could end up being like a top 20, top 15 running back in the league in fantasy. Just to put that out there.
My apologies, Marlon Mack, that we skipped over you. But you heard it here. Marlon Mack, and I will even say Dameon Pierce, depending where he falls, you could take a flyer on him as well.
You can handcuff the two. And if Marlon Mack drops it, if Marlon Mack's ADP is true, you get him in the 12th round and you grab Pierce in right after him in the 13th.
Yep. All right, moving on to the Jaguars. 2nd year for Trevor Lawrence. Wide receivers, they lost DJ Chark to the Lions. They added Christian Kirk, who we mentioned earlier, got injured during camp. They have Marvin Jones still, Zay Jones from the Raiders, and Chenault. Tight ends, they got Evan Ingram from the Giants, and running back Travis, I'm going to mess his name up again, Etney, and James Robinson. Etney missed all of last season due to an injury going mid-round. Due to an injury, and he's going mid-4th round this year. A lot of hype on him last year, and he's playing with Trevor Lawrence again from their Clemson days. Do you guys think this is a good move to draft him this early? Are we afraid about the injury? Is there upside here? Talk to me about Etney and anyone else you feel like we got to cover.
Yeah, for me, the two people that we're going to cover here is Travis and Christian Kirk. Everybody else, I'm just not worried about or not touching. Trevor Lawrence, unless you're in the 2-quarterback league, he's going in 12 to 15 round range. Christian Kirk, got to be the number one. After that is Marvin Jones and I think a rookie after that. So there are 3 starting receivers. You're not trusting Marvin Jones because Marvin Jones is a journeyman from Kingdom Come, and he just never proved himself after leaving Detroit, to be honest, right? So Christian Kirk is his chance to shine, even though he just suffered an injury, ankle injury in camp this past couple of days. He's now the number 1, not the number 3. You saw what happened when D-Hop went down and had a quarterback that had a good arm. Trevor Lawrence does have a great arm, can throw down the field with accuracy. Christian Kirk can take advantage of that and being a number 1. Travis, for me, I'm not trusting anything. I'm not trusting the running back situation just because 2-12 team last year, always down. Besides beating us and keeping us out the playoffs, the Colts, these guys are always throwing the ball. So for me, Travis is more of a flex play. So grabbing him in the 4th round maybe that's too rich for my blood. If he's there 5, 6, I'll probably go grab him. But yeah, 4, I can't do that at 4.
Lance, thoughts on the Jaguars?
Yeah, the Jaguars are one of few teams that I probably would not touch with a 12-foot pole. I wouldn't draft them for Ooze if I was trying to mess up his fantasy team.
That's how bad it is, yeah.
That and the Jets. I really don't touch the Jets only because I'm a Jets fan. Yeah, so that's the most I could say about the Jaguars. Etney is probably the most interesting out of all of them, only because we've seen nothing. We've not seen him be able to do anything in a program yet. We saw what Lawrence did last year, right? We can say things to ad nauseum about what he was able to do with Urban Meyer and with the interim head coach. But honestly, he looked lost. And I don't think it was a head coach problem. I think the NFL might actually be too much for him. And frankly, outside of his we wouldn't call it rookie, his freshman year at Clemson, he didn't really look extremely great in college either. He wasn't bad, which is why he was still drafted number 1. But my concern is there was so much hype for him after that big win for Clemson that everybody is just they still got these rose-tinted glasses on when looking at him. Me, I'm on the other way. I've got mud on my glasses. I don't want to do anything with him. Travis is the only person, gun to my head. He's sitting there in the 6th round. I'll take him. He's sitting there in the 4th round. I'm looking for somebody better.
Yeah, I'm looking for someone better.
Any running back better. I'm looking for anything that's worth it in the 4th round.
Yeah,
but I'm not taking him that early.
That's just too much for my blood. Too much for my blood.
All right. Anything you guys want to add on any other team real quick before we end this show?
No, I'm good. I'm excited for the next week's shows. The sleepers, breakouts, values, bust, quick shows.
When does the Hard Knocks updates start?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe next week. It's the Detroit Lions, breaking kneecaps. let me see right here. I think the first episode airs tonight. I want to say it's either tomorrow, Tuesday nights. That's what I thought. Tuesdays. First episode airs tomorrow. So yeah, next week starts the Hard Knocks. I love Hard Knocks. I don't know if I'm gonna love this one. This Detroit Lions. I don't know how much I can take of Jared Goff and St. Brown, and I do love storylines when it comes to sports. So I'm gonna watch it, but I am excited to see who's going to be the end season, if they're going to continue that, because I thought last year that was super, super, super cool that they did an in season Hard Knocks with the Colts. And I hope they continue that tradition of doing an in season Hard Knocks with a great team. Maybe like they did it with the Colts because at the time we were charting up, heading to the playoffs till Carson Wentz effed us. So yeah,
blame it on him. Ugh.
I mean, we can make a whole show of just we can watch the tape. We can watch the tape on that game. That was bad.
Well, all right, fantasy owners, that was our show. I'm glad you stuck around with us. Talking about the AFC South. Join us next week. A couple more shows. Join us all throughout the season. And this is farewell from the RUSL.
See ya.